Touchdown, everyone. Good night.
The whole season had been building up to one race for $1 million. And while you may think this isn't a great deal of cash in the sporting world, in the sailing scene we know that you don't always need prize money to bring out the fighting spirit. The SailGP final in San Francisco was a great example of that. These crews only have one setting, full on, whatever the prize. Taking the 8th event of Season 2 to San Francisco for the grand final was a pretty neat idea. Not only is it the home of Oracle boss Larry Ellison, who's bankrolled the entire project from the start, but the venue is well known for its reliable conditions and steady, punchy breezes. But as we also know, when the stakes get really high and things really matter, the weather will change its mind, leaving the locals to tell you that it's not normally like this. And so it was in San Francisco for that $1 million prize. Once again, I was lucky enough to have a hot seat in Ealing in London as one of the TV producers for the event, and where we made this 26-minute feature. And if you want to see the full highlights or indeed the entire weekend's racing, just follow the links in the description down below. In the meantime, here's how San Francisco played out.
No one cares how a team did in the regular season.
You'll have 3 boats racing for $1 million.
Australia's the best sailing nation.
They're going to want to stay away from us.
We are the underdog team.
It would be crazy not to say that we're going to win.
Tom was lucky last time.
The favourites don't always win.
We are so ready.
The only thing people will talk about is who won SailGP.
3, 2, 1. Here we go. Keep going. Come on! Hurry up, boys. Come on.
I love this job. The final venue in SailGP Season 2, with $1 million at stake for the top 3 teams in the winner-take-all final. With this and the final event victory at stake, everything was on the line. The drama started early, well ahead of any racing. A technical breakdown saw the American team capsize during practice, an early blow for the home team, and a shock to the system for surfing legend Kai Lenny, as driver Jimmy Spithill tried to figure out what had gone wrong.
The wing, the hydraulic couldn't go. Oh no! The wing didn't pop? Yep.
Fortunately, neither crew nor boat were damaged. Then a near miss between USA and Australia, which could have knocked out both boats. 2 days before the first race, series leader Australia capsized and damaged their wing badly. Their path to the $1 million final was now in jeopardy.
Today it's really unfortunate. Going to have a lot of work to do to get the boat ready for the regatta.
Working around the clock for 2 days was just enough for the shore crew to get the team back out on the water. But they had missed valuable practice time. And it wasn't just the top teams that were having problems. There was serious friction in the Spanish camp. In a shock move just days before the start of the event, driver Phil Robertson had left the team, which would now be led by Jordi Chamar. For the other teams, the road to the final was clearer. The Australians had a place in the grand final. So too did the American team. While Japan would need to drop points not to make it through. Yet, the pressure was still on for the top 3, And with 5 fleet races to get through ahead of the grand final, no one was more aware of this than Jimmy Spithill.
We want to push hard out there. We want to use these 5 fleet races as a way to warm up and get ready for the final. But if we cross the line or if something happens, that's it. It could be over.
Jimmy and Nathan have both spoken about your temper. Do you think this had anything to do with yesterday or could potentially change things on Sunday?
Yeah, I've heard they've been saying I've got a bad temper and my tempers might be what loses us this final. It's a tricky... Look, I do have a temper. Everyone, it's sort of known as red mist on board when I start losing my temper. But it's... look, my passion for this is also what gets us to the top. And I'm not going to change the way I am. Obviously, I've got to keep my cool in important parts of the race and make sure my temper doesn't cost us.
All season, you know, Tom's been the benchmark and we've just been trying to get better and better. And, you know, we've had a bit of a knack for doing quite well in the light air. And this place is known to be quite windy, so we've made a few changes throughout the season to improve our strong wind performance. And, you know, we're just chipping away and getting ready for Sunday.
I believe these two are the favourites. They've done more time than anyone else in these boats, clearly. I mean, it's no surprise to me to see these two guys right up there.
I'd prefer to be in the position of favourite. The reason we're favourite is because we've proven that we can perform under pressure time and time again. And I wouldn't sort of trade our position for anyone else's.
It had been a tough season for all. A boom-bust experience for the Australians with victories and defeats throughout. It had been a testing time for the Americans. Japan had tasted success. Now the final steps to overall victory were clear. 3 fleet races on day 1, 2 on day 2, before the winner-take-all grand final for the top 3. Classic San Francisco conditions greeted the fleet with a forecast for a solid westerly breeze. But it was the tide that was less easy to read for the tacticians. While the current was heading to the west in the bay, it was running to the east close to shore. Striking the right balance between playing the best wind shifts and riding the tide would be key. Allie Vance picks up the story of the opening 2 races.
Day 1 in San Francisco tested the 8 teams.
The Spanish fall off the foils.
Great Britain made the fastest assessment of the tricky tidal racecourse in race 1.
All eyes on the Union Jack.
Japan dominated the start again in race 2, but flew too high on the foils and came crashing down, with Australia breathing down their necks.
Australia and Slingsby here absolutely love that.
Denmark took control of race 2, with new helm Spain's Jordi Zama impressing the fleet.
But while the fans were watching how the Spanish were performing after a last-minute change of driver and applauding the Danes and the Australians, they were also wondering why the Americans were so far down the field. Meanwhile, the Japan team were now the ones to watch.
Nathan Outridge is sort of probably one of the most natural sailors I've ever seen. His ability to pick wind shifts and find more wind on the course than other people is second to none.
Foils! Nathan Outridge!
And his ability to sort of not get rattled and keep a very calm boat is it's unbelievable, really.
Let's try and get off the line at least.
I just know Nathan's style isn't really a suffocating style. He doesn't like to get all over his opponents. He likes to sort of sail freely and pick the wind better than his opponents.
We can definitely overcome some real challenges and things that are thrown our way, and you'd have to say that for the Japanese team as well. Yeah, look, I think there's no surprise to see the Japanese going into the final here. They were battling it out for the $1 million during season 1.
Massive mistake, entering early.
Nathan can win in any condition, there's no doubt about that.
Now Outridge manages to stay inside. Outridge had control.
Oh yeah! Good one down, Timmy. Nice work.
So, having led at the first mark in both of the previous races, Could he deliver a win in the last race of the day?
It's going to be tight on the gun. New Zealand look like they're early. It's going to be tight in the middle of the line there. Wow. Japan and Australia again. Great start, but it was a big squeeze by Burley.
France and USA over the line early.
France and USA must drop behind that red line. They must be last round the fleet after being over the line early. 3 from 3 from Outeridge at Mark 1.
At mark number 1, it is Japan with the lead, Australia in second. Both of them scheduled to be in the grand final, barring a major incident which would take their boat out. But they look very good, and Nathan Outeridge once again with a major flex. So through the gate and on to leg number 3, it is Japan and Nathan Outeridge. Australia and New Zealand sitting 2 and 3, the Americans dropping back to 7. More than halfway through the third and final race of the day. Amazing start, but can they convert it now into a win?
Attack bear away is being called on board the British boat. We know that attack bear away, or a Dino as it's called in the sailing world, is high risk because the boat accelerates massively. Let's see how they go here. High, flying high into the tack. If they pull this off, it'll be pretty nice. Do you know, that's fairly clean in this wind strength.
This will be a big moment here as Australia on starboard coming in, but it's the young Spanish crew coming in from the top of screen. They're going to have to keep clear, but a big gain for Japan. Big game for Spain, and Slingsby, well, he's going to head towards San Francisco and hope he smells a good wind shift out of the donut shops on the shore there. Here we go, cross coming up here, the right of way with the Spanish. Young Spanish crew are doing a fantastic job moving up through the fleet. Slingsby yields, has to go behind.
So in race number 3 in the final gate, it is Japan, and look at the speeds climbing over 90 kilometers an hour.
Over 50 knots in old money as they bear away there. The acceleration, the control of the foils.
And Japan sending a message to the rest of the fleet and possibly the 2 other competitors in the grand final tomorrow, the Americans and the Australians. We have figured out the bay, at least for today. Race number 3 will go the way of the Japanese, and look at that speed as they cross the line.
Very well shot, everyone.
Japan was on the charge and were sharing the lead with Australia, while the Americans were struggling for pace. But new pressure was building, with Great Britain climbing into third. If any of the big 3 were to suffer a breakdown or damage, the door to the grand final would be unlocked. Starts are always crucial. Outeridge had been nailing them time after time. So what's the key to success? Ali Vance explains.
Measuring success as being the first to get to Mark 1, the percentages of success show that the worst position has been in the middle of the line with a success rate of just 23.8%. Slightly better is being at the windward end of the line, closest to the wind, with a conversion rate of 28.6%. But the clear winner is being furthest from the wind at the downwind end of the line at a whopping 47.6% success rate. And don't forget to watch out for the blue pointer where the computer calculates the best position to start from. We have it, and the crews see it too on the monitors mounted on their wings.
At the close of the last SailGP event in Sydney, the frontrunners for ultimate victory in Season 2 had been defined. 3 teams led by 3 of the most accomplished, decorated, and experienced drivers in the sailing world. Outeridge, Slingsby, and Spithill. No one knows their traits better than SailGP CEO Russell Coutts.
So you look at somebody like a Jimmy Spithill, for example. He's been actually the most consistent of any of the teams in the league. But he hasn't yet won an event. Not a single event. Yeah, Jimmy, he's a fierce competitor, and we've all seen he's hugely determined and never give up. Well, I think the Australians are sailing incredibly well. You know, they've won 4 events in the season. They the dominant team, what you see is what you get with Tom. And he expresses it, you know, it's there, it's direct, it's honest. You get a reaction from Tom. I think Nathan Outridge is the underdog. I think the US team and the Australian team, in my view, are the favourites, with the Australians probably being the strong favourites. But having said all that, that almost gives Nathan a mentality where I've got nothing to lose. He can push things hard, and in a way, if it comes off and him and his team sail a brilliant race, they'll walk out of it as the season champions.
I'd prefer to be lucky today than good, actually. Yeah, it's just, as I said, it's going to be one of those days where a bit of luck will not go astray. So, yeah, if I could save all my luck for that last race, I would. But, look, we're just going to go out there and try our hardest for every race and see how the chips fall.
We got lucky in the season final last time by Tom getting a penalty and gifting us the start. And then, you know, we made a mistake and he slid through for the win. So I think it'll be the same, you know, don't make mistakes, sail the boat fast, and everything should be okay. But this southerly wind is actually probably the biggest curveball that we're going to see here this weekend. I think all three teams are ready for the final, and it's a case of can you actually understand what a southerly wind is going to look like in front of the yacht clubs there.
It's nerves, excitement, all of the things wrapped into one, as you'd expect for a day like today. But it's a good feeling in the team. We've just had a massive amount of support locally. I mean, the amount of messages that have come in. So, yeah, we're going to try and use all that to our advantage and get out there and execute a good race.
But it wasn't to be as simple as that. As the spectators arrived, they and the teams knew this was a wind direction that none of the teams had seen before. A course access across the bay and a weather forecast that was far from settled. All this, plus the added pressure of teams that could smell an opportunity. All it needed was a breakdown among one of the top three to change the guest list in the grand final. At the start of race 4, Jimmy Spithill and the home team had finally found some pace as they nudged ahead at the line.
The American crew coming out, flying through the middle of the fleet there. Bottom of the line, it's New Zealand. It's a drag race, but this is the first. Oh, Jimmy Spithill, the boat's porpoising, lost control of the ride height there. Boats are so hard to sail in this gusty condition, but this is the first time we've seen the Americans and Jimmy Spithill leading the fleet, and what a time to do it. Yo.
Try and lock her in again, lads. Right. Got you.
Oh, and Spain diving inside. American boat. Oh, there's a collision on board the American boat and the Spanish boat. Oh, my Lord. Spain diving inside there. I think it was too late. Massive moment on board there. Wow. Hopefully everyone's okay.
Penalty Spain, relative USA, not overlapped at the zone.
Oh, they
penalty clear.
Just tried to dive inside, a little bit reckless, a little bit loose.
How close was the Spanish hull to hitting the American rudder? That could have been a season ender.
After the drama between the Americans and the Spanish, the Kiwis went on to win race 4, while the British claimed third, all of which left a big question. Was this result for Ainsley's team and the damage to Spithill's F50 the first sign of a shakeup for the grand final? If the Americans couldn't compete in race 5, it would mean that Spithill's team would be out of the running for the San Francisco event victory.
We're just assessing the damage. We just got a little nick to the rudder with the Spanish boat at that bottom mark. As you can probably tell, that race was pretty full on.
I just saw them come out of my periphery and a hull basically come up over my head, so I just got out of the cockpit. But pretty full-on action. Definitely don't want to break the boat before the final race, so we're going to sit the next one out.
By contrast, the Australians were already building momentum as the drag race to Mark 1 in race 5 got underway.
Looks to me like Australia will be able to lead from here at Mark 1, but Japan are going to be coming in hot in that big gust.
As they approach mark number 1 in race number 5, it will be the Aussies indeed, the defending champions from season 1, looking to carry momentum into the grand final. Can they get it done here?
Angle.
The Australians are trying to squeeze down to gate 2 here. Looks like they've done it in 1. This should be a big gain for the Australian crew. Oh, but they leap up round there. Good save on the rounding. Nathan Outridge's Japanese crew are going to split the course. It's tight. Starboard tack with Great Britain. France and New Zealand must keep clear.
Another collision.
Oh, the French needed to get out the way there. The Great British boats had the right of way. The Kiwis, oh my Lord, another incident. These gusty conditions are catching everyone out. Here we go, starboard tack, Great Britain has right of way. Hopefully everyone's all right. Oh, it's some serious drama out here. Look, New Zealand are set up to jibe. They're expecting France to get out the way, but the French are just not doing anything.
You guys all right? Yeah.
The Australians had won race 5, and with it, the San Francisco event. Slingsby and crew were on a roll. They had been here before. Could they do it again?
Tom is a bit of a streaky sailor for me. He's a great guy. And he thrives on confidence. And if he starts off an event weekend in good shape, he's near impossible to beat.
By the Australian crew, and well, that was a textbook race.
But if he's struggling, if they're not gelling as a team or something's not going well, there's a weakness there to be pounced on.
Terrible. The results don't lie, you know. The results do the talking. These guys clearly have shown they're the best team because they're in first place on the leaderboard. I would say it's the Australians to lose this final.
You know, he's got the advantage of being the defending champion and winning most of the events this year and a really good sailing team. But he's going to be tough to beat.
Keep it fast and cool.
Absolutely unbelievable race.
What an intense race.
The grand final started with drama. Having breached the course boundary, Japan were looking to offset their penalty against another team. Seconds later, Australia was the victim.
There's 10 seconds to go. They're all very early. There's not a lot of wind up there. The gust of wind is to the left of screen. Who's going to find that first? Could define the final. Looks to me like Japan are going to hold that penalty on Australia as well. Spittle's got the break here. It's going to be the Americans that will be able to lead at
Penalty Australia relative to Japan and clear. Japan, you got behind USA, delayed starter Australia.
We got a spot for Jimmy, okay?
75% of the time, the boat that reaches the first mark ahead wins the race. But it wasn't as simple as that. The shifty breeze made it hard to get the tactics right.
There goes Tom Slingsby. He slings the boat around the mark. Who can get on the foil first? He's forced it. There's errors galore here.
As the fleet headed up on leg 3, a reversal of fortunes was to come before the next hammer blow. The American chase boat had spotted a problem.
Oh, whale on the course. Should we say it? Yeah. Yeah, say it.
Whale in the middle of the course.
There it is again. Second sighting.
Just got breaking news. The race has been abandoned because there's a whale on course.
With the whale now off the course and the race restarted, the tension had built once again. But the breeze had dropped.
7 seconds to go. It's all about who can get on the foil. The Australians have the speed. There's the start there. Spittle's done a fantastic job again, but who's going to get on the foils first? It's Australia and Tom Slingsby. They're boosting away. This is going to be a huge lead for Tom Slingsby as the Americans fall off the foils in the background. Advantage Slingsby. Both boats behind off the foils.
And look at the speed difference.
Look at the speed difference. 50 kilometres an hour versus 25. I know which boat I'd like to be on, but as the hull pops up on board the American boat here, look for the right-hand side of screen. They're up and foiling. Right, time to chase them down.
These are the defending champions, Australia. They get an early break here in the grand final. $1 million plus on the line. They make the turn. They are on to leg number 3, and they will see the Americans and the Japanese still making their way down course. So a huge advantage to a team that you do not want to give an advantage to.
Lovely first tap early, keen to tack there on board the Australian boat, try to stay in the breeze away from shore.
And it's Australia that found the wind first. They took off as they make their way on. You heard the talk of the Chicago.
Chicago, that's a right turn early jibe, but they're off the foils.
Down.
Off the foils here. Now, how long are they going to stay off the foils? Will they get more wind back to pop up? This could be opportunity knocks for the boats behind if they're going to get a chance. This is it. Where's the next gust of wind? Look at the speeds, 11 kilometres an hour for the Australians, 45 kilometres an hour for the USA, and they're back within the same shot. The race is all on.
The Australians are in the bottom third of the downwind, whilst the Japanese are still trying to get on the foil in the top half of the upwind, and the Americans are stuck at the windward gate in no wind.
This is leg 4 of 6. They will make the turn, they will head upwind, and then it'll be a short distance to the finish line, and Australia has almost locked this thing up. The defending champions from last year looking to make it 2 in a row, and look at the distance growing. This is just the victory lap as they flex for the fans that have turned out here to watch the world's best sailors as they cruise along the shoreline. And it is Australia that claims the title in 2022.
8 venues, 16 days, and 46-point scoring races. But now just one result that mattered. The Australians had achieved the ultimate SailGP victory. They were season champions once again. $1 million better off, and the silverware was on its way. Japan had taken the 2nd spot on the podium, and despite not winning a race all season, the American team's consistency had secured 3rd. Sir Russell Coutts made the presentation. 5 wins and a 2nd in season 2, there was no doubt who were the top dogs. For 2 consecutive seasons, there's been no stopping the Australians.
Back to back. What a crazy day. We knew to expect anything. We weren't expecting leading races and Wales to be coming on and cancelled, and yeah, we just we kept our heads in the game, and we knew that the race was going to happen, and we had to be ready. And yeah, the guys have sailed so well. We made some good calls, and we were away. Couldn't stop us.
For the Mubadala United States Sail Grand Prix winners, the Season 2 champions Australia with their $1 million bounty. And champagne.
Just watch your team.
But the final day had seen another victory secured as the New Zealand team lifted the Impact League trophy, a competition among the teams awarding points for their sustainable operations and efforts to minimize their carbon footprint. As the celebrations continued ashore and Season 2 came to a close, Season 3 is just around the corner, with the opening event in Bermuda in May.
On the face of it, and viewed in isolation, you may think that the Australians got lucky. A private gust at the start allowed them to blast away from their competition. At some point, we've all been there. But take a broader view of the season, and Tom Slingsby and his crew have won 5 of the 8 events and come 2nd in a 6th. That's not luck, that's seriously impressive. Especially when you're up against the best in the world in one design boats where your every move is recorded and accessible to the other teams. Slingsby's crew, afloat and ashore, were without doubt the top team, while their skipper and driver has been on a roll for some time. San Francisco may have thrown more curveballs in one weekend than we've seen all season, but luck? I don't think so. Season 3 gets underway in May and kicks off in Bermuda. That doesn't leave much time at all for the other teams to figure out how to catch up. But it also means that we don't have to wait very long to find out. And I can't wait.